day, all of us. My name is Ron Tabangay, together with Ma'am Arcel Casisit, and we are here to discuss the 7 philosophies of education. Okay, let's start with traditional philosophies. Number 1, essentialism. It focuses on first subject, we are reading, writing, arithmetic, and essential knowledge. Emphasizes discipline, hard work, and traditional teaching methods. Essentialism, an American educational philosophy emerging in the 1930s and 1940s, emphasizes teaching foundational knowledge and skills. They have 4 principles. Number 1 is back to basics. It focuses on essential subject, 3 hours reading, writing, arithmetic, and core disciplines like history, science, and literature. Number 2, traditional teaching methods. Structured lessons, standardized curriculum, and teacher-centered instruction. And number 3, universal knowledge, emphasis on timeless objectives, goods. And number 4, discipline in hard work, encouraging rigor, responsibility, and respect for authority. William Bagley, 1874 to 1946, American philosopher and educator who introduced essentialism. Together with Herbert Spencer, 1822 to 1903, influential philosopher emphasizing educational role in societal development. There have 2 philosophical roots, which is idealism and realism. In idealism, it emphasizes universal truths, objectives, reality, and spiritual values, while in realism, it focuses on objective knowledge, empirical evidence, and practical application. The educational goals are: number 1, develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills; number 2, foster patriotism, citizenship, and social responsibility; number 3, prepare students for productive careers; and number 4, cultivate moral character and ethical values. Essentialism's impact on American education has been significant, emphasizing foundational knowledge and additional teaching methods. And number 2, perennialism. It centers on timeless, universal ideas and great books, aims to cultivate critical thinking, wisdom, and cultural heritage. Perennialism is an educational philosophy emphasizing timeless, universal roots and classical knowledge. The core principles are: number 1, timeless roots, universal principles affected by time and place or person. Number 2, classical education. It focuses on great works, literature, and civilization. And number 3, eternal wisdom, emphasis on enduring ideas, values, and principles. The key objectives are: develop critical thinking and intellectual rigor. Number 2, foster appreciation for classical literature and arts. And number 3, cultivate moral character and wisdom. And number 4, prepare students for informed citizenship. The teaching strategies are: number 1, great books approach, studying classical texts; number 2, Socratic method, encouraging critical discussion; and number 3, lecture discussion, emphasizing intellectual dialogue; and number 3, essentialism, prioritizes individual freedom, choices, and free autonomy, fosters self-directed learning, personal growth, and authenticity. Existence precedes essence as the core tenet of existentialism, meaning existence is an individual's concrete physical presence in the world, while essence, their inherent in nature, characteristic, or identity. The implications are that existence comes first, individuals are born without a predetermined essence. Number 2, through choices, experience, and action, individuals create their own essence. And number 3, essence is not inherent but developed through life experience. Reasons. The educational implications are: number 1, student-centered learning; number 2, emphasis on personal growth; number 3, encouraging autonomy; number 4, foster critical thinking and self-reflection. The core principles are: emphasis on adaptability, preparing students for a rapidly changing world; number 2, focus on skills over facts, teaching processes, critical thinking, and problem solving; and number 3, experiential learning, hands-on experience and real-world application. Number 4, encouraging curiosity, fostering inquiry, exploration, and discovery. The teaching strategies are 1. Problem-solving method, using scientific methods to tackle real-world issues. Number 2, experiential learning, learning by doing, experimenting, and exploring. Number 3, project-based learning. Student-led projects integrating multiple subjects. And number 4, inquiry-based learning, encouraging students to question and investigate. And number 5, collaborative learning, group work, discussion, and peer-to-peer learning. And number 6, reflective learning, journaling, self-assessment, and metacognition. And number 7, service learning, community engagement, volunteerism, and social responsibility. That's the end of my part. Now let's proceed to the next discussion na di-discuss ni Ma'am Marcel Casencio.
Why teach behaviorism? Behaviorist schools are concerned with the modification and shaping of students' behavior and providing for a favorable environmental. What to teach behaviorism? Behaviorists look at people and other animals as complex combinations of matter that act only response to internally or externally generated physical stimuli. How to teach behaviorism? It is owed to arrange environmental conditions that students can make the responses to stimuli. Physical variables like light, temperature, arrangement of furniture, size, and quality. Teachers ought to make stimuli clear and interesting to capture and hold the learners' attention. Okay, why teach behaviorism? Or why do they teach values or education sa pagpapakatao? Or why do teachers hold to students into good manners? Because they are afraid or worry about shaping the attitude of students, or who can no longer the behavior of students who can no longer speak them because of the different friends in their environment. Behaviorism. So as a teacher, you need long patience, especially when you are teaching of values or education sa pagpapakatao, because it is not easy. Okay, so teachers ought to arrange environmental condition. So as a teacher, the good attitude of students will come from you by showing a good act or examples, whether it is an act or work. Philosophy linguistics. Why to teach philosophy linguistics? It is to develop the communication skills of the learners, because the ability to articulate, to voice out the meaning and the values of things that one obtains from his or her experience of life in the world is the very essence of man. What teach philosophy linguistics? It is learners should be taught to communicate clearly, how send conscious messages, and how to receive and place in their. We have three ways of philosophy linguistics. It is verbal, non-verbal, and paraverbal. How to teach philosophy linguistics? It is the most effective way to teach language and good communication is the experiential way. And also teachers should make the classroom a place for the interplay of minds and hearts. Okay. Why or what teach linguistic philosophy? Linguistic philosophy is a school of thought or school do that believes language is central to learning and that philosophical problems means that teachers should provide opportunities for students to use language and give feedback to help students and understand how they use language. Verbal. Verbal is refers to the content of our message, the choice and arrangement of our words. Kadalasan, nagagamit natin ang verbal kapag tayo ay nagte-text o nagchat sa mga mahal natin sa buhay na kahit malayo sa atin sa pamamagitan ng type o liham o sulat ay naipaparating natin kung ano ang gusto nating sabihin sa kanila. Non-verbal communication. It is refers to the message we send through our body language. Kadalasan, ginagamit natin ang non-verbal sa pamamagitan ng pagkilos ng ating katawan tulad ng pagtango, pagkaway, pagpalakpak, kunot ng noo. Sa pamamagitan nito ay naipapahayag natin kung ano ang gusto nating iparating sa kanila. Paraverbal. It is refers to how you say what we say, the tone, pacing, and volume of our voice. Kadalasan nalalaman natin sa tono kung siya ay galit o masaya. Katulad na kapag mataas ang boses na parang pasigaw, ito ay nagagalit. At kapag naman ay malumanay na may kasamang ngiti, ito ay masaya o nagpapasalamat. Why teach constructivism? Constructivism is developed intrinsically motivated independent learners adequately equipped with learning skills for them to be able to instruct knowledge and make learning. How to teach? It is provide students with data or experience that allow them hypothesize, predict, manipulate objects, questions, research, investigation, imagine, and invent. Okay, why teach constructivism? It is because to help students construct their own knowledge and learn variety of ways, like representation, collaboration, independent learning, access to information, self-expression, and cognitive powers. Okay, why teach constructivism? It is because to help students construct their own knowledge and learn variety of ways, like representation, collaboration, independent learning, access to information, self-expression, and cognitive powers. How to teach constructivism? It is based on the idea that students create new knowledge by relating into their knowledge. Here are some ways. Number 1 is elicit prior knowledge. Number 2, create cognitive dissonance. Number 3, apply knowledge with feedback. Number 4, reflect on learning. And number 5 is work in group.